to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and I want to thank my cohort, Justin Centenni, for running the meeting for me last month while I was on vacation. Appreciate that, Mr. Centenni. At this time, I'd like to recognize our superintendent, Mr. Touchette. Your opening remarks.
Good evening. We look forward to welcoming students back tomorrow to campus's staggered start, August 10th. Please visit the website to see the full schedule as we prepare for the back to school information. As a reminder to parents, you can call the call center for the transportation between 7 and 5 p.m. and that number is 337-521-RIDE, which is 7433. At this time, we would like to take a moment to recognize Lafayette Middle School's principal, Ms. Tia Troham, who is the Principal of the Year for the state of Louisiana that was honored last month. On behalf of everyone at Lafayette Parish, we have something and we want our board members to come and present this to Ms. Tia. Thank you. In closing, I would like to express an appreciation for the hard work and dedication of our students and teachers following the State Department's recent release of LEAP 2025 scores. We increased 3% on our scores. Dr. Robley will give us an overview of what that is and what it means to us here in Lafayette Parish.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Touchette. So as you all know, we were recently recognized as a top 10 performer in the state of Louisiana as a district. 41% of our students achieved mastery or advanced. Those are the two highest achievement levels a student can get on a state test. Not only does it indicate that a student is ready or meeting college and career readiness skills, but it also indicates that they are ready for the next grade level and beyond, exceeding expectations. This is a remarkable achievement. As a district, we not only are at our pre-COVID levels, but we are surpassed where we were achievement-wise in return for students that are hitting these levels of achievement. As a state, they went down on their performance and actually were not hitting their pre-COVID levels. So as a district, for us to not only exceed and go above and beyond is truly a remarkable testament to our teachers, our schools, our principals, our administrators, everybody in schools, you all as a board for supporting so many learning loss efforts between summer school, summer learning, tutoring, after school, Saturdays, summer camps, the list goes on and on, transportation to and from. You guys put such an investment for us to rebound from learning loss that we experienced during COVID. And what's most exciting when we get these state results is that we see we have not only met where we were, but we're actually exceeding and going above and beyond. So I thank you guys. I thank all of our schools and those that made this achievement possible. And it's just a true testament to the power of Lafayette Parish. So thank you.
Mr. President, this concludes our opening remarks.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I would like to deviate, take personal privilege and recognize Mr. Elroy Broussard. Mr. Broussard. Yep.
Very good memories. Ms. Tia Trahan, we're all back.
That short period of time, I served as a permanent sub at Lafayette Middle. I am not surprised that people recognize the greatness. I just want to give you another round of applause. There's a saying that says teamwork makes the dream work, and that's exactly for the last 5-6 months. A team of us have been working together to put together the I Have a Dream experience, a trip of 60 high school students, mostly from Lafayette Parish. We have about, and if you count Catholic, private, charter, public, 16 high schools represented. We are going for the 60th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. And we're visiting places like Howard University, the White House, the Capitol building. This could not have happened without a team coming together. And so I'm very proud. There's some folks here tonight who are on our DC trip planning committee. I'm going to ask if you could please stand. I want to recognize you from reading the applications to going through all of our planning meetings to just helping wherever it was needed. Could you all please stand? I want to recognize Pastor Abram Freeman, Susanna Malbro, Miss Ola Prejean, Mr. John Bess, and I'm going to ask her very quickly if I have the privilege. Erica Williams, I did not know until tonight, brought some of her youth who are going with us to D.C. They're part of a media team, and they're working on a documentary of the before, during, and after this historic trip to our nation's capital. Erica, could you just come up real quick and just point out the students that are with you?
Thank you so much for hearing from us tonight. New Vision Leadership has a media team, and this is actually our second event of the day, and we are so proud to be here. A lot of community members, a lot of board of directors got together, and they sponsored this trip for us and gave us a lot to be able to go and do what we do. The media team here is going to be doing a documentary, and they're going to be traveling to Washington, D.C. Many of our youth have stepped up and come on this trip to do the documentary, and I'm just so excited to be a part of this. And I thank Bishop Harvin for allowing me to also be a part of the mission to Washington, D.C.
In closing, I can't help but mention some of our sponsors are here tonight, and I just want to personally thank you, Ms. LeBou, Ms. Morrison, Mr. Linton Broussard. We were at the Bayou Church Sunday, and they gave a very generous donation. Want to thank you. Miss Emily Duyon is here. Very early in the game, she stepped up and sponsored 3 of our young people going to D.C. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Broussard.
Moving on to information items, we will not deal with 2.1 due to illness, but we will start with 2.2, Love Our Schools giveaway program. Ms. Okwine.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Superintendent Touchette, President Angel, and members of the board. I'm Tracy Oquan. I'm the Community Collaborations and Partnership Coordinator for the district. And it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight with Love Our Schools. Many of you know Love Our Schools has been just a tremendous supporter of our schools. They're very generous and extremely committed to providing the resources and tools and things that we need for our schools. They are, many of you know about our cafe schools, our community and family engagement. We have 12 of those schools. I'm very pleased to announce that we're going to be adding 11 more cafe teams to our schools to provide a level of support, working with our principals to provide value to our schools. And so also, many of you may have witnessed or were a part of the Love Our Schools Serve Day a couple of weeks ago. Braving that temperature, but coming out and supporting our existing 12 cafe schools. Over 400 volunteers came out and just beautified our schools and got them ready for school tomorrow. So just very grateful for the partnership that we have with Love Our Schools. And Carly Amlabar is here tonight to talk about another great opportunity with our schools.
Get to move this down. Good evening, Superintendent Touchette, President Angel, members of the board. Very excited to be here tonight. Up on the screen, y'all see the advertisement for this year's Love Our Schools home giveaway. You all may remember that you guys were very supportive of last year's first home giveaway. And once again, Manual Builders and Southern Lifestyle Development have made this possible again this year. So tickets went on sale last month. And we are very excited to report that ticket sales are going very strong already, and we are only at the beginning of August. But we couldn't do it without the support of the whole district. Last year we sold approximately 22,000 tickets, which is a lot of raffle tickets, $25. And the schools were a great source of that, strong ticket sales support. I'm very pleased to announce or share that we've so far had 4 winners, 3 last year, 1 this year with an early bird drawing, and all of them have very strong ties to Lafayette Parish. They either have kids in the system, former educators. So it's been a really great experience getting our community involved. So wanted to come tonight on the eve of starting school, because tomorrow I know you guys are busy preparing for a really busy time, and we're just really excited to be a part of the school year and launching for a really strong start. So please, if you haven't yet, whether you're here tonight or watching online, purchase your raffle tickets. The deadline is September 18th. That's when we will announce the home winner on September 21st on live TV, and we will invite you all to that event. We do have 3 early birds prizes this year. 1 has already passed. That Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry donated a beautiful ring. And then next week we'll give away Raising Cane's for a year, which everybody's excited about. And then our final early bird drawing will be $5,000 cash prize. So buy your ticket by September 18th. Thank you all for your support. And we're just so honored and excited to support the school system with the generosity of so many great community partners. So thank you all so much.
Thank you very yes, ma'am, Ms. LeBou.
Can I just say, I went to the cafe at Northside and Love Our Schools. They were part of the tutoring efforts. Those cafes came around the schools and helped. And so I know that they were an amazing partner in helping us get to where we did on our scores. So I just want to thank Love Our Schools and the cafes and all of the community coming together around those schools. Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda is update on the selection of superintendent of schools, a recruitment process. I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Centeni.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to make sure the public and the board got an update on where we are in the process. Per the board's direction at our July meeting, we elected to use the process that was utilized in 2020, the spring of 2020 when Ms. Trosclair was hired. So as of right now, starting this past Sunday, the ads are running in 4 newspapers: the Daily Advertiser, the Acadiana Advocate, the Baton Rouge Advocate, and the New Orleans Advocate. The ads will run from now until August 20th. The applications must be postmarked by any interested parties by September 29th. Then Mr. Angel and I will check the post office box on October 5th to collect the applications. The board will determine the next steps at the October board meeting, including how to, per the board's direction, include public input and public forums at that time. So we have about 2 months to think about how we want to handle this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Centeni. Moving on to the consent agenda. Item 3.1, federal programs. I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Latchley. You want to pull it? (3.2) Employee services. Discussion or action concerning a revision to the supplemental pay rate section of the 23-24 salary schedule for teacher, substitute, bus driver supplemental pay. 3.3 Employee services. Discussion or action concerning a revision to the 2023-2024 salary schedule booklet. 3.4 Employee services. Direction and or action concerning the reclassification and related update for job descriptions for the school food service area manager, manager 3, manager 2, manager 1, and technician positions. 3.4. 3.5 Employee services. Discussion or action concerning revisions to the supervisor of language acquisition job description. 3.6 Discussion and or action concerning a proposed plan of reorganization of the special education department staff and changes in job descriptions related thereto. 3.7 Discussion or action concerning district paid retiree basic life projected increase of fiscal year 23-24. Pulled 3.7. 3.8 Discussion or action concerning approval of an environmental consulting services contract. 3.9 Discussion and or action concerning surface use agreement on section 16 property in Dusson. 3.10 Discussion or action concerning the July budget to actual fiscal year 23-24 budget and revisions for fiscal year 22-23. 3.11 New construction. Discussion and or action concerning the final guaranteed maximum price for the new Lafayette High School project. 3.12 Risk management. Discussion and or action concerning policies, EDCB, carpool and bus line safety, and IDCJ continuous learning. 3.13 Risk management. Discussion and or action concerning policies, EBBB, school and student safety, JB, attendance, JBD, student absences and excuses, JGCD, administration of medication and sunscreen, BCAD, participation in school board meetings via electronic means, and BCBI, pupil participation in school board meetings. 3.14 Superintendent. Discussion and or action concerning the minutes of the July 19th, 2023 meeting.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that the board approve all items not pulled.
All right, we have a, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a second by Ms. Lebu. We have a motion and a second to approve all items not pulled. Discussion on any of the items not pulled?
Wayne Cosby. Is this on? Okay, couple of items on there. I didn't think y'all would take them all in global and everything. Cause you got a bunch of budget items in here. And, one of the things that concern me with the budget there, we move things around on the budget all the time. There's surplus, there's dollars. Moving from one to the other, the surplus dollars and everything. And I'm not sure it captures everything. And we're spending all this money and we don't get down into the details on some of this stuff. For example, And then we have some obligations that I think the board never paid, but yet they passed them on to the state, and now they sit on the state as an unfunded liability. And I'm talking about the Pat Cooper termination that's been going on. Some of the board members have been on there for a long time, know what I'm talking about. But now that's 300, 700,000, but it doesn't show up anywhere on the budget because it's passed on to the state. Now, you've heard when the legislature met this year that they, was a lot of talk about unfunded liability. And if Lafayette is a very prosperous community, and I can't understand, even though the law says you can do it, but if we can do it, because we're not providing, it won't prevent us from providing services for public education. But yet, I don't know where football fields and Astro Turf comes in there. I don't know where vacant property, buying that land, takes precedent over an obligation that we should have paid, I think, years ago. Now it's 700,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood because it keeps accruing the interest there. So I think that's a big problem. You don't see it, it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And that's one of those things there. There's another part on here. I don't know if keep going there with the, one of the items I think in here, we talked about the significant outages and what would that be considered in the future. I think that was part of one of these things. And it just says, it didn't say who would have the criteria for talking about what's a class 1, a class 2, or class 3 outage on that. Who would make that decision and what is the guideline? I think if you took a poll or a secret poll and you passed it around, you might get different answers. You know, if class 1, since that it's only a few days, what is that? Is that 0 to 5, 0 to 8? Class 2, 8 to 16? Class 3, 16? I don't know, let's just raise it. I think you need, thank you, and I'll wrap it up there. I think that part of it needs more guidelines to say, hey, because the person making that decision or the staff or whoever ought to have some guidelines, otherwise, you know, you come back in hindsight and say, wait, that's not what we meant. You give them some guidelines up front before you rush and pass this thing, so that should be considered. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Do we have any other discussion on any of the items not pulled? If not, Madam, I'm sorry. Yes, sir, Mr. Centini.
Yeah, I told the architecture team earlier today, and I spoke with Mr. Sims from Lemoyne a couple of days ago. And throughout the process of designing Lafayette High School, we've had a pretty hard number that they've had to meet, and for most of the time, I would say, they've been over that number. But it was the number that the board approved and budgeted for this project. And as many of you will recall, when we first started setting money aside to build these 3 schools, we always had Lafayette High at $100 million. Well, that was 2019, and in the interim, we had a pandemic, we had supply chain issues, we had rampant inflation in the economy. And to have this project have substantially the same scope as it had in 2019 and come in at only an increase of 20% over the 3.5 years where everyone else is seeing increases of 30 and 35%, I wanted to thank the team for the first time, because most of the time I had to go in these meetings to be the bad cop and tell them that no, under no circumstances can you exceed that number. But they managed to not exceed that number, and they did some real logistical gymnastics to get there. But I wanted to thank ACSW Architects and thank the Lemoyne Company for all of the efforts. I know it's been a long road to get to this point, but you do have my sincere appreciation for evidently delivering a commercial building at $403 a square foot, which to my understanding is unheard of today. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members have any comments on articles that we have not pulled? If not, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote.
Now go build it. Okay?
Did she show it on there?
9 for, none against.
All right, motion carries. And we'll move on back to the consent agenda. We'll start with the first item pulled. Discussion or action concerning the COVID-related recovery and retention stipend.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Make a motion that the board approves the payment of one-time COVID-related recovery and retention stipend of $1,200 to eligible employees meeting specific criteria set forth in the memorandum from the superintendent attached in the public content section of this agenda item.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Ms. Mason. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Mason, you want the floor?
No, I just wanted to have the second.
All right. Questions or comments from members of the audience on the motion? Yes, sir. I gave you some slack last time. But this 3 minutes.
Julia Reed, President, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators. First, we would just like to thank the superintendent, his staff, and the board for the generosity of this stipend. We are especially thankful that there was no tiering in the stipend, and that we are acknowledging the importance of our support staff, who are very much important parts of our organization. We use the word educator inclusively. If bus drivers don't drive, we don't have kids in seats. If the cafeteria technicians are not there, no one is fed. If we don't have janitors, the room is unsafe. All people that work at a school provide a contribution, and we wanted to thank you guys and the superintendent for not differentiating. And we also wanted to thank the superintendent for continuing his relationship with us. We've met with him a couple of times since he's taken off, interim superintendent. And so we just wanted to say thank you, and we appreciate that you are walking the walk while you're talking the talk. Thank you.
Let me say you're welcome, but we appreciate you all too. Yes, sir.
Wayne Collins. A couple of thoughts on this thing. These are COVID funds, ESSER funds, SFQ funds. It seems like we got a deadline to hurry up and pay them to clear them because of maybe deadlines, and we're rushing through it. And the whole design of these funds were to help the students and help the schools administer through COVID here. And that's pretty well, most of it is behind us. And we have all these funds because we didn't spend it timely, and we missed opportunities for teaching these kids basics and extending work hours and extending extra time and cut down the holidays, or at the end of the school year extending that so that we could get these kids the knowledge and knowing that the challenges they're faced along with the teachers and the staff and everybody. So, I'm a little disappointed that we're just throwing it all to the teachers and that the students got the short end of it. Really? But the other thing is $1,200, and this is supposedly for teachers, new teachers that are coming in maybe the first time tomorrow, and you're going like, wait a second, they weren't even here for COVID. But yet we have teachers that maybe worked out there for 5 or 6 years through all this COVID, through all the challenges. And some of them, I bet, were very highly effective in reaching the schools, the kids' potential. And maybe we should reward those teachers more than that. Because when you look at the numbers, $1,200, someone coming in at the basic level 1 is only 2.5%. But if you got a teacher that's been in there maybe at level 10 or something, it's less than 2.5. So the percentage-wise increase is less than 2.5%. So we actually shorten them. And it's treating everybody the same, when, it's not the same. Because we're afraid to make meritorious decisions and saying, this teacher did really well and they ought to be rewarded. And we can't, because we might, we're going to offend somebody else. Reward the teachers that are good, that's how you raise the standards. And these teachers that are just coming in, I don't understand why they're getting COVID funding. We certainly shouldn't have promised it when we were hiring them because this thing hadn't been approved. The way I look at it. So how could that have been? They were hired on, and COVID, like you said, is really kind of in our rearview mirror. So I'm just disappointed the way it's structured, that they treat everybody the same.
Thank you, sir. You gave us 25 seconds back. Any comments from members of the board? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Mason?
Mr. Colvin, I feel like we have a pretty good rapport with each other, but I want to very kindly disagree with you. Our teachers and everyone in our system deserve this. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Marsden?
Yes, I want to clarify, Mr. Touchette, on the teachers that will be receiving it. Teachers that are just starting this school year will be included.
Yes, so this is a stipend for the work that they have done thus far, but more importantly, the work that they're going to do for this coming year. So we have new teachers that started. We're rewarding them for that, but also what they're going to be doing moving forward. So all teachers, all custodians, all bus attendants, all bus drivers. When we talk about touching every kid, that means that we're talking about all, and that's what we're so proud of, that this team has come together. We've talked to our teacher unions. We've sat down with our senior level group, sat down with, and just made sure that when we looked at it, that it was across the board. So again, it will be for anyone new, and again, anything that they've done thus far this year and moving forward.
With that said,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said, with that said, we talk about how, we couldn't do what we were doing without our teachers. They've really worked hard through COVID. I mean, during that time I was president, so I got to see firsthand what was going on. And I can't tell you how much I support this. We talk about teacher shortage. So we have to show our teachers how much we appreciate them for the extra duties that they do. And everybody in the system, school bus drivers, they had to put in more, our cafeteria workers, our paras, everybody that touches a child had to put in more during COVID. And we wish everyone could get a $1,200 stipend. We really do. But we just can't. ESSER funds are used for certain things. And some of our employees are paid differently through Title I funds, like our tutors, for instance. So we are using the money. Yeah, I think that we did put a lot of money into students. That's why we're top 10, because we put the money and the time within our students so we can get these awards and recognitions that we're getting today. Thank you.
Ms. LeBoux?
I do want to thank our interim superintendent. I think he is looking for opportunities to make sure that we give the support across the board to everybody in our school system. So I just really want to thank him for looking at every opportunity. In fact, I called him on an issue of, we have a shortage of substitutes in a lot of areas. And I know this is on 3.2. We talked about shortage of substitutes and bus drivers and issues with some of those things. He said, I'm already working on it. And so he did. He came to us with a plan on how to increase pay for substitute teachers and how to get, maybe retired credentialed teachers back in the classroom to sub bus drivers, helping them when they pick up extra routes to pay more to them for doing that, and all of the other helping pay teachers more when they cover classrooms for each other when substitutes are not available. So I just want to commend him. Not only is he thinking about everybody from sanitation to transportation, but he's thinking about everybody in education and administration. So I do want to thank you because I really think these are some great ways to start the school year, and it's really going to set us up for success on the year. So thank you. And I will say teachers usually on average, I've heard, spend about $800 on their classroom. I think a brand new teacher would probably spend more. So I think that I think I'm okay with rewarding the new teachers because I think that their expenses and getting them set up is a lot. And so I really, again, I appreciate the fact that we're going to hopefully give them some more money to set them up for a greater success and have more resources in their classroom for the kids. So thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Broussard.
I want to applaud the superintendent and his staff for making that effort. Sometimes the tool we use to grade success is unfair. It's unbalanced. It's one person's idea. But when we start to do that, we're always going to hurt someone's feelings. But to give everyone the equal pay, because every job that's taken up with the LPSS is important, just as important as the other one. Every last one of them has a gift. And to reward everyone equally at this point in time is the best way to show the appreciation. No one is above or beneath anyone else. So thank you for making a decision the way you did.
If there are no more comments from members of the board, Madam Secretary will call for the vote.
This is not sticking. Stay on this side. Oh. I'm fixing my tag. Thank you.
Nine for, none against.
Motion carries. We'll move on to item 3.4. Discussion or action concerning the reclassification and related updated job description for the school board food service area manager, manager 3, manager 2, manager 1, and technician positions.
Mr. President, I make a motion that the board approves the reclassification and update of the job descriptions attached in the public content section of this agenda item to be effective as of August 10th.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Dr. Aguilar seconds the motion. Any discussion from members of the audience on this motion? Discussion from my fellow board members on this motion?
I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Touchette to give us some clarification.
Just real brief, board. The reason for this increase is that we're again looking at trying to get more manpower into the cafeteria. As the last time that all of our kids ate free was during COVID, and what we saw at that particular time is that when kids are going to have the opportunity to eat free, which they will for the next 4 years, we are going to need more manpower, and this is going to help us to be able to recruit people in and do what we need to be able to staff it accordingly. So again, we're hoping that you guys will take care of this, and I think the technicians and managers would really appreciate it.
If there's no other discussion on the item, I'll call for the vote. Christie and Dorothy, just mark Mr. Latchley absent.
Eight, four, none again.
Motion carries. Our final item is insurance discussion or action concerning district-paid retiree basic life projected increase to fiscal year 23-24 budget.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the requested budget shortfall of $79,500 as shown in the document attached in this agenda item and increase the group basic retiree life AD&D fiscal year 23-24 budget.
Second.
Okay, second by Ms. Mason. Were any comments or questions or comments from members of the audience? Any comments from members of the board?
I have a
Yes, sir,
couple
Mr.
of
Centeni.
questions. A couple of questions. Who should I, Ms. Gardner or Ms. LeBeau? Okay. First off, this is titled board paid, district paid retiree basic life. So that means the school board pays the full amount per member every month. Okay. The benefit levels are identical, so there's no change.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right. And then finally, you know, the wording of it, it was just, it caught me off guard. I'm trying to find it in here. It was the least, it was offered the least impactful budget proposal. So we went to 22 carriers with our benefit plan, and we said, please price this for us. And this is the one that was the cheapest. Other than least impactful, we can use the term cheapest there, like that's identical. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to make sure that's what you meant. That's all. That's all. Okay. Thank you.
And Mrs. Centani, that's for this 6 months, because the increase, it will be, because the offset of our budget season is from July 1 to June 30th, whereas this will cover from January to June. So it's only for the 6 month period. We'll have to build in the other half into the budget for the 25 fiscal.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments from members of the board? If not, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote.
Eight, four, none again.
Thank you, ladies, and I appreciate y'all's job tonight. It's the best y'all have ever done. We appreciate that very much. Dorothy and Christie. Yes, sir. Yeah. We believe that this is the very last meeting in this building, in this room. Our next meeting, we hope it will be at the new building over on the Rue de Biville. That concludes our agenda. I'm sorry. Before I adjourn, I'd like to recognize Dr. Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Angel. Board members as well. I wanted to say special thanks to the Southside High Football Booster Club, parents and community members committed to supporting a possible tax measure to provide funds for a Southside Stadium. The decision to not place the measure before the voters was difficult. In nearly all conversations about the proposed tax, the consensus was that the school needs a stadium. Major concerns, however, about the tax included, one, what impact would result should high school attendance zones be redrawn over the 5-year life of the proposed tax? Was it conceivable that children of voters in the current Southside attendance zone would find themselves rezoned to another high school in the district? Thus, the most potential voters preferred to hold off on considering a tax until the Southside High School attendance zone could be guaranteed to be stable for the life of any tax measure. Secondly, the anticipated millage and term of the tax measure raised another concern. The decision to choose a 5-year term for the tax measure increased the millage needed to generate the estimated $16 million for construction. The shorter term of 5 years for the tax increased the annual millage needed to retire the debt. The projected first-year millage of 13.75 mills was larger than I would have preferred to ask voters to approve. The only way to lower the annual millage needed would be to extend the tax term to 10, 15, or more years, which I believed was also unacceptable. Finally, many residents of the Southside Attendance Zone preferred the tax to be abandoned to allow additional opportunities for this Lafayette Parish school system to discuss alternate proposals for funding stadium construction. Thus, I welcome any thoughts and ideas from my fellow board members on how best to prioritize facility needs across the district. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aguilar. This meeting is adjourned.